Welcome to the Youngpreneur podcast, a show for young and aspiring entrepreneurs who want to start or scale their own business. Our podcast is dedicated to helping young people find a community and resources to start and grow their businesses. Hosted by Charlotte Enever and Linda Reed Enever, our passion is seeing the future of business grow.
Hi, welcome to the Youngpreneur Society podcast. I'm your host, Charlotte Enever, and joining me on this episode is Isabella Loneragan. Isabella, could you please give us a little intro to yourself and your business?
Of course I can. I have 3 businesses, so this is always a really hard question to answer directly, but at the crux of what I do is that I analyze skin and use photographic skin diagnostics to enable myself to be able to educate my clients and manage their skin and give them back their confidence around their skin health. So that is at the crux of what I do. I work one-on-one with clients, and I've got 2 skin-related or skin-focused clinics. But then I have an academy which teaches touch-led mastery, so teaches facial and advanced facial massage training in order to empower touch-led therapists, so facial massage people, massage therapists, facialists, beauty therapists, in order to give them back their power in their career and really build their businesses. And I also have a skin product line called Skinformé Skin.
Sounds so much to cover, but I love that it's all centered around one thing. I love that.
Yes, it's all centered around one thing. And that first thing ever was me working one-on-one to give clients the power over their skin. And then it's grown into products and educating other therapists to allow them to do that for their clients.
Amazing. What inspired you to start your businesses?
I was qualified as a beauty therapist, a traditional beauty therapist. I actually qualified in South Africa in 2007 because I always had this passion about connecting with women. And I'd had this amazing beauty therapist in my early 20s that was always really happy every time I went to see her. And I couldn't believe that she was so happy when she was waxing people's pubic area. I was like, how can you be so happy doing this? And she was. So I just was so inspired by this young girl that was so happy in her career so early. And it just seemed like a really nice industry and fit for me, but I didn't come into it until I was 27. And so my first goal was to take back power of my career too, but also to start a business. I was fascinated by the whole concept of entrepreneurship. So I went and did my diploma and started a little beauty business in a spare room in the house that I was living in Cape Town in South Africa. And the power that it gave me, not only in my own financial freedom as a woman, but also in giving power to my customers and giving them back their confidence in their skin. So there was a few levers that I pulled to decide to start my first business, and every other business on top of that has just been a natural progression on top of that business. So I sold that when I lived in South Africa, then I came back to Australia and I worked in dermatology for a while, and then I left that because it was too clinical for me. So then I opened a business again, focused on touch treatments, so facials. And each business has literally just been a stackable, evolving project on top of the last. And now I think I'm up to my 5th skin-related business in the last 20 years. The most recent being the Skinformé Academy, where we teach advanced touch-led treatments and modalities to touch-led therapists, so massage therapists, beauty therapists, dermal therapists, nurses, all wanting to be entrepreneurs and run their own businesses, but giving them that really advanced skill on how to touch the face.
I love that. Your core values are like so motivating.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
How do you maintain a work-life balance with your very busy life that's going on, from what I've heard?
Look, I don't know that I do, to be honest. I think there's a lot of hype at the moment about maintaining work-life balance. And I think it makes a lot of business owners feel really bad that they really struggle to. And I don't think it's a healthy place for us to be promoting that you have to. My businesses have grown exponentially in the last 3 years, and I work a lot. And my husband has left his career to come and work with me full-time because we couldn't cope with the amount of work that I was doing and trying to raise 2 children and trying to keep the businesses on track. So I literally had to rope in my husband to help me because I'm not sure there is such a thing as work-life balance. And I think it's unfair to promote that we should be achieving it, because when people don't, especially women, then they go into a depressive episode because they're trying to do it all and they're not succeeding. So I try and take breaks when I can. For example, after us having this incredible experience on a podcast, I don't have any clients this afternoon and my son is home from daycare. So I will be engaging with him and spending some time with him. Now, that is a bit of a fluke, but I'm taking the opportunity to disconnect from my active work a little bit, to have a bit of a break. Whether it's balance is another thing, but I just don't know if I've got a solid wrap up in a bow answer for you to be able to give people that are listening to this a reassurance that there is such a thing. I think I need to give people reassurance that almost there isn't such a thing, to make them feel relieved that if they're not achieving it, it's okay. But I think you need to be opportunistic, that when you have a spare hour or two, instead of racing to your laptop or racing to scroll online, actually just sit down and have a cup of tea and look out a window for 15 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Don't be so available and responsive to every email and every Instagram post that comes through. So I hope that's helpful in indicating that I'm not sure that I believe there is a work-life balance when you are running 3 businesses and I am a self-proclaimed workaholic, undiagnosed ADHD type. There is no work-life balance when it comes to me. And my husband and I have learned to cope with that.
I think that is possibly the best answer to that question I've ever received.
I want to be able to say that it's all rainbows and butterflies and we take 2 weeks off and we fly to Fiji and we switch off, but we don't. I have 2 children and I'm paying a mortgage through my business, and it's Australia and it's really hard. Every part of business and being an entrepreneur is really hard. It is not for the faint of heart. So I think to expect people to adopt work-life balance is a fallacy.
Especially from what I've noticed, it's a lot harder to switch off social media. Like you said, just take a moment to yourself. If you
don't have to take 2 weeks. This morning I dropped the kids. I say drop the kids off, but one I dropped off at daycare and he wasn't even supposed to be at daycare. So that shows you the level of balance that's going on in my life. So I fake dropped him off and then took him back with me. And then I got home and I had so much work to do, but I was like, you know what? It's a beautiful day. I'm just going to boil the kettle and have a cup of tea, but I'm actually just going to sit and have the tea instead of sitting with it at my computer and typing away and then watching it go cold. Just take the 15 minutes and that actually might give you a bit of a reset. But that's a win for me.
Yeah, and I think seeing that opportunity is a major win, because I often see in my parents, it's hard to see those opportunities when you're sort of in the work mode.
I used to, and I still do a bit, I run on this panic mode of, if I don't get it done, the whole world's going to fall apart. It won't. No one cares that much about your job. You'll be fine and everyone else will be too. So take the 15 minutes and have a tea and relax. It's not that serious.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for that reminder. What is your favorite part of running your own business?
Oh my God. I'll tell you what my non-favorite part is. Okay, my favorite part is the clients and the students. So majority of my work is made up with one-on-one consultations and giving facials to my clients. Oh my God, that's why I got into this industry. I use it as my meditation. My nervous system is actually attached to giving care to my clients, because if I'm a bit frazzled and they come in for a consult, I get myself together through serving them, and I can give a half an hour consult and then an hour facial and I feel on top of the world after that. So I actually use my clients as my own meditation and my own counseling, which is amazing. So that is a major part of what I love. And then just imparting how to really connect with your clients and build trust using your hands, and how to build a business just using your hands. You don't need fancy machines. You don't need fancy systems. You can actually train your hands to bring in an income for you. And I teach that to my students, and that is definitely the other 50% of what I love. What I do not love is a million emails that I have to answer from accountants and social media schedules and days where I don't want to put makeup on, but I have to create content. I don't love that, and neither does anyone else. So it's not like I'm alone. But yeah, the crux of what I do is touch and connecting with my clients and gifting with them with the power of touch. So I hope that answers that question quite succinctly.
It definitely does. Yeah. I feel like the admin is definitely the worst part. The fact that you love what you do so much that it sort of heals you as you do it is amazing.
Yes, I love that. My husband does a lot of my admin for me. I hate IT issues, and thank God he's a wizard at IT. I always say, I'm coming to you with another problem, and he has to fix it for me. But that's the beauty of having good help too, good support is someone that you can pass that stuff off to.
I love that you've got that support network.
Thank you.
I think we may have just touched on this a little bit there, but how do you stay in touch with the motivations you've had when you first started out?
Yeah, I think you're right. We have touched on that because what I notice happens to me is that if I go a few days, for example, I have a few days where I haven't got any clients booked into my diary or something like that. It's been quiet in the business and I don't touch another human therapeutically, obviously. I find my motivation drops because my whole identity is tied up in serving and caring for my customers and analysing their skin and giving them answers about why their acne has flared up or why their rosacea has flared up or whatever it is. So I find that keeps me motivated when I'm reminded of the powerful role that I have with my clients. And it's the same with students. If I feel a bit flat or unmotivated, my husband always reminds me, don't worry, you've got a course next week. You're going to be teaching 14 students about your passion. And then I'm like, oh, that's right. And then I get there and I meet all these incredible women that are dying to be led and be nurtured and be coached. And every day after all of my courses, every day that it ends, I like skip home because I feel like I've really added value to someone's life and given them the skills to grow their business and grow their careers. So motivation comes with what I do, and I use what I do to motivate me, if that makes sense.
That makes so much sense. Perfect answer.
Oh, thanks.
What advice would you give to young people considering a career in the skincare industry, especially how and where to start?
Okay, this is the big one. So my advice would, I reckon, surprise a lot of people. You could definitely do a beauty diploma to get you started if that is the pathway that you want to take. Now, because I now own an academy, I speak to women, like I spoke to 3 women yesterday that are considering either switching careers or growing in their existing touch-led career. And the beauty diploma has become very outdated in Australia and it's irrelevant. And the people that are in control of it are making moves to change it, which is wonderful. But it also doesn't necessarily get everyone to where they want to be. And so I think a lot of people assume that to be able to conduct facial treatments, whether they're facial massage treatments, whether they're treating acne, whether they're treating rosacea, whether they're just facials, whether they're doing laser, whatever it is, I think people assume the diploma is going to make you an expert. It won't. And that a lot of people don't want to hear. But I've been very vocal in my career about how weak it is to pump out. And since COVID, all the practical stuff has been reduced, which is our whole job is practical. Our whole job is hands-on. So to reduce a diploma down to online education is just a mistake when it comes to trying to empower women to use their hands to connect with people. It gives you the basics. It gives you a baby entry into the world of beauty treatments. And I don't even like the fact that the diploma is called a beauty diploma, but it is based on beauty, like lashes and waxing and all that. But I don't do that. I haven't been a beauty therapist for years, but I technically fall into the beauty arena because that was where I started. Now, I would say to people that really want a career in skincare, and if they really want to become exceptional, and you need to be exceptional these days because you need to be able to charge a premium, because if you don't charge a premium, you're not going to be able to pay your rent or your mortgage. That's what it's coming down to because it's so expensive to live in Australia these days. So if you want to be an average skin therapist or an average facialist and charge $100 for a facial or $80 for a facial, do a beauty diploma. Perfect. You'll be able to do it out of that. But that is not what most people need to be charging for a treatment to not only survive, but to thrive. And thriving is you want to take a holiday once or twice a year, or you might want to buy an apartment, or you might want to update your car. We're not talking crazy buying a mansion or buying a Lamborghini stuff. We're just talking just a bit of thriving, not insane. So if I was someone starting out, I'd be looking very early at what is going to get me, what's being offered out there that surpasses a beauty diploma. So like advanced post-grad education. So go and do your diploma if you feel you must. You don't have to. There are ways you can become a skin therapist without it. But if you're looking at doing a diploma because you feel that's the right step, you'd want to be looking at advanced post-grad education. That's one of the things we offer at the Skinformé Academy. You'd also be looking at people who are actually doing what you want to do and reaching out to them saying, how did you get there? What are you doing? What's your experience? Where have you worked? What courses have you done? You want to be looking at major touch-led treatments because skincare, funnily enough, the beauty diploma turned into a dermal sciences diploma, which was great about 10 years ago. But the problem is the dermal sciences is not touch-led. It's all chemical treatments led and machine led, and it doesn't teach us anything about touch. And we're in a wellness arena now. We've come into a trend time that everyone's obsessed with wellness. So if you can't touch your client with confidence, you are missing out on the opportunity to lead into the wellness industry, which is trending. Why would you not want to be taking advantage of that? Skin science, you'd want to be researching skin science and who is the best at training that, because the beauty diploma will not give you any real skin science education. It might give you a bit of information on the top layer of the skin cells, but not much past that. You'd want to be looking at postgrad information on consultations, because consultation is very important when it comes to assessing what your customer wants. You're going to be consulting to them. What do you want? What do you want your skin to look like? Where do you want to go with your skin? Things like that. Client psychology. I've got a degree in psychology and science, and I got that before I was in the beauty industry. And truth be told, I actually lived in the US for a year straight out of high school and did a year of child psychology and loved psychology so much that I came back and went to Sydney University and did a psychology degree. I actually didn't know what I was going to do with it though. I had no idea. And then I've used it so much because effectively my job is all about behavioral health. It's all about how our customers behave around how they look. So very important to be looking at skin science and psychology. And last but not least, business skills. A lot of beauty therapists go and do a diploma and they have no idea how to run a business. But let's face it, entrepreneurship is huge at the moment. So many Australian business owners don't know how to correctly run a business to save themselves. So you would want to make sure that you are brushing up on business skills. So there are a list of things that you could be looking at on top of you doing a beauty diploma. But if you also didn't want to do a beauty diploma, you could literally type into ChatGPT, I'm interested to learn about what it takes to become involved in the skin industry, whether it's a facialist, a skin therapist, a beauty therapist, but I don't want to do a beauty diploma. What other avenues are there out there for me? And listen to what it says, and then go from there, and then maybe jump into Facebook forums about what other people are doing, things like that. One of the biggest mistakes young therapists are making is that they think the technical qualification is going to be enough. They're technically trained how to do a facial. They're technically trained how to do a brow shape, but it's not. And we've proven that because the diploma is having a whole overhaul because people are coming out of the diploma and they can't do anything, even though they've technically been trained, because there's a big difference between being trained technically and actually putting your hands on someone's face. And the industry rewards people who constantly refine their craft, rewards people by, you get more Instagram followers, your business looks really successful because people are booking in with you, things like that. If I was starting now, I'd pay very close attention to touch-led wellness, how we're getting our customers well through the use of our hands, because touch is not going away, especially after COVID. You'd think after COVID it would have gone away because no one wanted to be touched for fear of being contaminated, but it's actually gone the other way around. People are so starved of being touched that suddenly the touch industry is huge. Now, I think that is becoming more important than anything else. People are stressed, they're overstimulated, they're burnt out, they're exhausted, they're disconnected, and all of those things can be fixed by touch. Amazingly, a lot of people don't realize that. A good facial therapist isn't just treating skin, they are going to be creating a nervous system experience, which then leads to success in every other part of the client's life, because that nervous system regulation has happened through parasympathetic rest. And if you're a great touch-led therapist and you can bring your client's nervous system down, your business will boom because they'll keep coming back. So that's something technology can't replace, which is wonderful with AI, automation, everything that's happening now. Everyone's very scared of all that. But if you come into the touch-led industry, no one can replace you, because you're so unique. That's what's so powerful. And so, yes, get qualified, but with a caveat, and then get really educated in what you want to focus on. I hope that gives you a summed up answer.
That was amazing.
Okay,
You
good.
pretty much gave everything that you would need to, especially where to look. I love how you mentioned that touch isn't going anywhere.
Not now, and it's been proven. And the problem is we're all freaking out about AI, but AI can't do what we do, which is amazing.
Yeah.
AI can replace a lawyer, an accountant, content creator, no problem.
Yeah.
Facial massage, touch-led treatments, no, can't replace it.
There's something so special about any sort of craft or care that is given human to human with your hands.
With your hands. Funnily enough, it's the modalities that have been around for centuries, and yet they were ignored for so long. I mean, traditional Chinese medicine is based on touch and connecting with the human and the nervous system and the meridians. And yet medicine came in and just blew everything out of the water with drugs. Whereas really, if we'd actually been more holistic about it, we'd probably be much more of a worldwide population.
Yes. And then I'd say wellness wouldn't even be a trend. It'd just be a lifestyle at that point.
Exactly. There, now you're talking. I love it.
Yeah.
It's real.
So good. Can you walk us through a moment where an idea you had went from concept to reality, and what steps did you take to make it happen?
Okay, so one of the biggest examples I've got of this is the facial massage education. So I'd come out of dermatology, and I'd come out because the medical industry was so clinical, and it was just about scripting for your client and then seeing them again in 3 or 6 months' time and then giving them another script. And when I was in dermatology, so many of my patients were coming into my room because I was a dermal therapist working within a dermatology practice, and they were so upset. They were crying because they hadn't felt heard, they hadn't felt seen, they'd been put on another round of antibiotics for their acne or their Roaccutane, and they were just frustrated. And they were like, I want to go to the doctor and be heard and be seen, and I want to tell her that I don't want to be on medication, but she's not listening to me, and she says this is the only answer, and so I feel trapped. So I identified a huge opportunity in the industry, which was I could run a business just on touch-based facials. So I did that, and it went crazy, and it was amazing. But when I was doing that, I realized that whilst I was doing a good job and the business numbers were great and we were getting amazing bookings, I felt there was more that I could be doing. I was giving these treatments, but I felt it was shallow. My work was still shallow. As you do, scrolling for hours on Instagram, and I came across Bucal, which is the intraoral massage that I specialize in. So you put gloves on and you massage your clients from the inside out. So you put your index fingers in, you massage all the muscles around the jawline and around the face. And when I did that, I realized how powerful it was. It was pitched to me as a sculpting and lifting technique. And I was like, amazing. I've just come out of dermatology where Botox and filler is king, and I want to have a differentiation to myself. So this is going to be it. I'm going to be able to compete with dermatology. So I launched the treatment, and within 3 months, it became very obvious that whilst it was pitched to me as a sculpting and lifting treatment, what actually no one had indicated to me was that it massively removes emotional tension out of the muscles, because we as women clench a lot and we carry a lot of our tension here. And when you get in and massage that masseter, your bite muscle, it releases out. And suddenly, all these clients were booking in, but they weren't booking in every month. They were booking in every week. So my diary just quadrupled. My business exploded. And people were calling me, going, can you train me? I heard you're doing this thing. Because when I brought this treatment back, I was the only person in Australia offering it. And I didn't know it at the time, but we started to do some research and we realized no one was doing it. So that was the first step. I was like, no one's doing it. People are calling me. My books are full. And then basically I remember thinking, when done properly, touch changes everything. It changes your business retention. It builds trust exponentially. It changes treatment outcomes. It gives that client the true experience that they want, not just an appointment, but a proper experience. And it increased retail sales because you're converting people that originally weren't going to have facials, but then suddenly love facials and then are really interested in facial products and then start asking you about facial products and then buy facial products. So I was like, this is insane. Now, members of the public were calling me saying, can you train me? And I was like, no, because I'm so busy, and I was hiring my own staff and training them. But then after a few years of training like 8 therapists, the business going crazy, we actually sold that business because we'd lasted through 2 lockdowns and we'd moved out of Sydney. And I was out. I was like, I need a break. I've just had a baby. I'm exhausted. Let's move out of the city and we'll calm down and I'll just be a little stay-at-home mother and do my thing. Now, that didn't happen because I can't help myself. So, of course, I opened another business in the small country town that I live in. But at the same time, a business from New Zealand called me and said, I want to fly you to New Zealand and I want you to train me in this technique that you've created, this intrinsic facial that you trademarked. And I had the manual that I'd been training my therapist with, and I had intended to train publicly. I just hadn't gotten around to it. So this is when that idea of a concept of advanced facial massage training became a reality, because they rang, I accepted, they flew me to New Zealand. I trained 12 girls in 4 days and they were like, this has changed my life. So when I got back to Australia, because I put it on socials, of course, people were ringing. And that was 2021. And I think we've trained over 1,000 students in the Bucal technique from then to now, just because I lent into something that grew my business so organically and I knew I could teach others. And also realizing that teaching a modality is only one part of the equation when you're an educator. You have to teach all the business knowledge to support that new modality, because it's all very well saying, here's a new facial massage, they're going to be like, how do I use it in my business? How do I price it? What do I call it? What do I name it? How do I market it? How do I explain it to the client? How do I upgrade them? So I teach all of that as well. So I think that enabled me to teach people to have a signature treatment in their business based on their magic, but it puts them on the map because other people can't get it from other practitioners. So yeah, concept to reality. I hope that answered that question.
Yeah, that is a very magical success story, but there's obviously work and effort behind it. And I think that was what the magic was.
The work and the effort never ends.
Yeah.
It's just so happened that because the necessity of me to train my in-clinic therapists was so huge, I was forced to write a training protocol. And then when I sold my business, I was like, I'll just use this training protocol to start another business effectively, which I did. So the effort and the work is around the clock. That doesn't end, but the concept has to be sound. And yes, you have to turn it into a reality. And yeah, we were able to do that. And the results speak for themselves, because students come and they absolutely love it. And then they write these incredible reviews about the course. And so I just say to people that are thinking about it, just go and read the reviews first and then come and talk to me. And then they come and they're like, okay, I know what I need to know now. Just tell me the details and I'll be there. So yeah, it's definitely one of those examples of an idea from concept to reality, from something organic that grew in my business out of necessity because the demand was so big.
Yes, definitely. What strategies have helped you understand and connect with your clients, and how important is building trust with them for long-term success?
So trust is everything, really, in all industries, in my opinion, but in ours, everything, because you're intertwining emotional output, how people feel about themselves, and then trusting you to get them there, which back in the day, you'd book a facial and you just book an appointment, whereas now we're booking an expectation. People book expectations that they will not only look good, but they'll feel good. And so you have to realize that trust builds everything. I think young entrepreneurs really underestimate that. They just assume that if they make their socials look really good and their website looks really pretty, that trust will come, and it doesn't. People assume clients buy their results, but they don't. They buy their trust in you that you can get them the results. And that's a big difference. Clients really want to feel heard. They want to feel seen. They want to be understood. They want to be safe. They want to be guided, and they want to be educated. And all of that is wrapped up in trust. That's why the consultation in my business is really important, and really in anyone's business. If you're trying to sell a product or a service, you really need to be doing a proper consultation that asks the right questions, because consultation is so important. Touch is so powerful, and listening matters. So listening is everything. You almost need to just shut up and let your client talk, because you're amazed what they will get. So one of the strategies I've used actually is slowing down enough to understand what clients really need, and asking the right questions to get them to tell you what they need. And funnily enough, when I teach my students, a lot of people say, oh, yeah, I do a consultation. I just email them the form and they email it back. I would never email a client in my business, my facial business, a form and expect them to fill it out. I would ask them the question to their face, because the amount of trust you gain by conversing with someone versus saying, please tell me what skincare you use, and they just go cleanser, moisturizer, you'll find that they give you a lot more information and you can coax a lot more out. And through the conversation, the trust builds. So I think that's hugely important, is me realizing that understanding and connection comes through talking to your client and spending the time. My clients can't come to me and just have a facial. They have to have a consultation as part of the process. So each person that comes for the first time has what's known as a first time visit consultation and a facial. And we get people ringing and saying, I'm not interested in a consultation, which is music to my ears, because it means they're not the right client for my business. Because I'm not just going to take any client anymore. I'm not desperate for the business. And I find people that are desperate for the business take the wrong client, and then they get in this vicious cycle of the wrong client and treating the wrong client, and then everyone loses. So I think people often come in saying one thing, but then once you get it out of it, they end up saying something completely different. So yeah, definitely when clients genuinely feel heard and seen and understood, the trust immediately goes up, and then trust will result in rebooking, which is retention, referrals. People will go, she listened to me. She was the first facialist that actually said, who recommended this cleanser to you and why did they recommend it to you? And they go, she recommended it because she'd run out of another cleanser and this is the only one she had. And I'm like, oh, now we know why your skin's not great. So it'll result in retail sales because you can get them on the right path. It will result in loyalty because, of course, I'm going to return to someone that listens to me versus someone that's not going to listen to me. And you can then charge a premium for your treatments because you earned it. You're listening. You're spending the time with them. So you should be paid a premium because you spent the time with them and analysed what they were saying and gave them a suggested solution and a suggested treatment path. So long-term business success isn't about just gaining customers. It's about becoming someone that those customers don't want to leave. They want to keep coming back to.
From what it sounds like, the trust that you've built with your customers has built a clientele that feeds back into your business.
Exactly. And then you find the right clientele, because a lot of business attracting the wrong clientele and then they're not getting growth with their business, whereas you really want clients that are the right type. And the right type of clientele are the ones that don't complain about what you charge. They don't cancel with 10 minutes notice. They refer their friends to you. They bring their children to you. They buy their products that you recommend without questioning it. They're the right type of clients. The wrong type of the clients are people that leave you because the girl down the road is offering a cheaper facial. That's because you haven't indicated your value to them. So they're the wrong type of client and you haven't done a good job indicating your value to them. Or they cancel, all these other reasons about indicating that they're the wrong type of client, or they don't want to consult. I would never see a client in my business that doesn't want a consultation because it tells me she's not serious about her skin journey and she's not prioritizing her skin health. But I'll recommend her. I'm not mad. I'll just say, no problem. There's a girl down the road. She offers facials. You can walk in and have one. And I'm more than happy to support another business because that's what I'm all about, is supporting businesses. And I believe the universe will just send me the right client when it's time.
Yeah, definitely. Was there anything else that was brought up in that podcast that you wanted to circle back to, or anything you wanted to bring up?
I find a lot of people follow me looking for top tips. So I've got 5 top tips for marketing just to add a little bit to your list in case they're looking. So I get often asked, I'm really struggling with marketing. What do I do? How do I do it? And marketing is hard, but it doesn't need to be complicated. So my first suggestion is stop trying to appeal to everyone. So for example, my advertising would cut out people that don't want to consult. So that's a marketing technique. I will say, when you come to me, you will need to have a first-time visit. So I automatically pre-qualify my customer. They go, I don't want to consult. Great, that's fine. But the people that do think a consult is valuable, they'll listen to my marketing. So if your message is for everyone, then you will attract everyone, but it's really exhausting to try and speak to everyone. And it's really expensive too, because if you're going to buy meta ads, you've got to talk to everyone. So I only speak to a certain type of customer and I stay in my lane. I do not say to people, come to me for an eyelash lift. I don't offer eyelash lifts, so I'm not going to advertise that. And I don't really want clients in my business that are looking for one because I can't give it to them anyway. So that's a really obvious example of making marketing hard. If you only want to give hydrating facials in your business and nothing else, then all of your marketing needs to be only around hydrating facials, not acne facials, not laser facials, not Botox, not filler, whatever it is, only hydrating facials. So if you can niche, it becomes a lot easier. The second one would be, and it ties into that, be known for something. So I am known in my industry, especially in the B2B world, so business to business education, I'm known for touch-led education. So I train therapists in facials and advanced facial massage. I do not train nails. I don't train waxing. I don't train pedicures. So people now know me in my industry. They say, if you want to learn Bucal or advanced facial massage, go to Isabella. And that is because all I do all day is talk about what I've niched in, what I'm known for. So my marketing is super clear versus if I was training lashes, massages, manicures, pedicures, all my marketing would have to be that as well, which becomes really exhausting. And I'm known for everything a little bit, not for one major thing. So that's a good one. Teach in your marketing. So don't sell, teach. So I would say advanced facial massage is advantageous to people that are really stressed and have high cortisol levels, because if we drop our clients into parasympathetic rest, things like cortisol will come down. Instead of, you should buy my advanced facial massage training course because your business will do better with it. So we want to teach versus sell. And that's always going to be useful because people are magnets to information. They want to know. It educates and it builds authority. So in your industry, we need to be building authority versus just looking like salespeople. Number 4 would be show your thinking. So people buy from experts who help them understand things differently. So for example, I recently put up a post about how people are taking photos of themselves and uploading it to AI and asking AI to analyze their faces. The post went crazy because people are so fascinated by AI and they want to know what's going on. And automatically, I'm thinking about how damaging this is for our younger generations and our generation right now, even for women that are my age. I'm 45 and people are asking AI to analyze. So I'm showing how I'm thinking that AI is potentially not going to be good for people's well-being and self-esteem, but it gains interest and it builds authority. So people want to listen to it. And then number 5, consistency builds perfection. So if you consistently talk about what you're doing versus one post a week that your makeup's beautiful and the lighting's perfect and you say one bit of educational content. So I've got a rule now that when I create content, if I mispronounce something or I've got lipstick on my teeth, I actually post it because I believe in one-shot wonder posting, because I find if I keep recording it, I get mad and upset at myself that I'm not getting it right. And then I don't do it at all, which means I stop consistently posting. So I prefer to be consistent than perfect because I find it keeps my momentum going and my mental health is better if I'm doing that. And the lipstick example is really true because I actually had my social media manager contact me and go, do you know that you've got a massive thing of red lipstick on your teeth? And I said, yeah, I do. And I don't care. I'm leaving it there because frankly, I'm not doing it again. And secondly, people need to know that I get lipstick on my teeth and actually it's not that big a deal. We're not curing cancer here. We're posting on Instagram about facials. So it's okay. Just people forget about it too. They listen to it for 3 seconds and they scroll on. So consistency over perfection. So they're my top tips for instant changes to your marketing that you could adopt today.
I love those. I think especially the fact that you've adapted those to be industry specific as well, more industry specific, because a lot of marketing tips are very general as I suppose.
General. Yeah. These could be general. You could do them all, but I talk about my industry because that's my passion. I want to raise the standards of the industry, and raising the standards in the industry includes educating my audience to raise their own standards. And the other thing is we're still fighting against a stereotype that beauty therapists are dumb, like hairdressers are dumb and nail technicians are dumb, and they're not. They're all incredible entrepreneurs and business owners. So if anything, we're connecting with people physically, we're connecting with their nervous system, we're smarter than me. So I want to raise the standard and showcase how powerful it is when you really connect with your customer well, because it gives you financial freedom, but also we're raising the standards of the industry at the same time.
Yes, definitely. I love that so much.
I'm so pleased.
I'd like to thank Isabella Loneragan for joining me on this episode of the podcast. I'm sure our listeners have taken away many lessons and insights from you. I definitely have today. I also want to thank our listeners for supporting the podcast. You can find out more about Isabella and her business at skinforméacademy.com.
Thank you for listening to the Youngpreneurs podcast. Like this episode? Remember to subscribe and leave us a review. And join us in the Youngpreneur Society, a community for young entrepreneurs to explore the world of business. Youngpreneursociety.com